El futuro que usted desea para su hijo y el que él desea para sí mismo no siempre son dos cosas diferentes. Si su hijo adolescente ve una oportunidad en las Fuerzas Armadas, muestre una actitud positiva para aprender más sobre ello y visite today'smilitary.com. Su éxito del mañana empieza con su apoyo hoy.
Hey, it's Christine from Storyworthy. Today on the show, comedian Greg Fitzsimmons talks about getting ripped off by an agent.
There were so many comics that the agents would rip you off, basically. And there was a guy at the time named Billy Downs. And he would just fuck with you. He'd call you up and he'd be like, hey, big guy, I got a gig for you. It's up in Maine. You got to pick up the headliner. You got to share a hotel room with the other opener. And you get half off dinner. $150. You want it? And then you'd be like, oh, God. And you'd be like, all right, I'll do it. And he'd go, it's canceled.
Today on the show, comedian Greg Fitzsimmons talks about getting ripped off by an agent. Stay close.
Hey, why am I yelling at you people? It's me. It's Greg Fitzsimmons. And you're listening. If you didn't know, you're listening to Storyworthy. I don't know why you wouldn't know that. You clicked on it.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show of over 13 years, or you're a brand new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the show last week with ballerina Georgina Paskogan. I don't have a lot of ballerinas on the show. In fact, I'd never had a ballerina on the show until I met Georgina. And wow, she is a really interesting person. She wrote a book called The Rogue Ballerina, and it's all about herself and the New York City Ballet. She's also been on Broadway in the musical Cats, who can forget? And she's a really interesting person. Go back and listen to Georgina Paskogan last week. We talk all about Broadway and ballet. And if you know anybody that enjoys that sort of thing, that's the show to listen to. But not today, you guys. Stick with me today, because today I'm re-airing a story from a couple of years ago from comedian Greg Fitzsimmons. You guys know Greg from his show Fitzdog Radio. He also has another show called Sunday Papers with Mike Gibson. And Greg, of course, was on the Howard Stern show. He had his own show on the SiriusXM network for about 10 years, the Greg Fitzsimmons show. And he's also been on the Adam Carolla podcast. Today, you guys are really going to enjoy his story about getting ripped off by booking agents. And it is not uncommon, but Greg had the opportunity to get back on one of these agents who screwed him over. In fact, the guy that screwed everybody over, Greg got revenge on him. And you are going to love when you find out what he did. So I know you guys are going to love this episode of Greg Fitzsimmons. Maybe you heard the story before, but maybe you need to hear it again. And if you haven't heard it, I know you're going to love it. Now and then I bring stories back from the past 13 years because not only should they be heard again, but I'm busy. That's what I'm saying. I've been working hard on my other podcast, My Life in 3 Songs. I sure hope you guys are listening to My Life in 3 Songs. Recently, I had on Jimmy Pardo, Patton Oswalt, and Kevin Allison is going to be on the show this week. It airs on Thursday, and so I'd love you guys to check out My Life in 3 Songs. I talk to comedians about the 3 songs in their life that have impacted them. And let me tell you, we get some great songs. We talk about some amazing music. The show is exclusively on Spotify because I don't steal music, of course. And Spotify is easy enough. It's totally free to download the app, and you can listen to the show as well for free. Please check it out. Follow My Life in 3 Songs over there on Spotify. And you can also check it out on mylifein3songs.com. That's the website. And if that's not enough, Story Smash, the storytelling game show, is live on Saturday, September 23rd here in Silver Lake, California. I've got actress Wendy McClendon Covey on the show, along with writer Danny Zucker and the funniest man alive, Blank Patch. So get your tickets to Story Smash, the storytelling game show. Holy cow, do we have a blast. It's at the Lyric Hyperion. They've got this fabulous deck to get a beer and you're going to love it. Head over to storysmashshow.com for tickets, and you can follow the show on Insta at storysmash. And of course, tickets are there as well. This is going to sell out, so please get your tickets to Story Smash. All right, you guys, without further ado, a comedian who I think is just phenomenal. He's also been on My Life in 3 Songs. He was a huge part of the 80s comedy boom, and he still works all the time. Please put your hands together for the very talented Greg Fitzsimmons.
All right, so let me tell you a story. Isn't that why we're here? Tell you a story. A lot of my best stories come from when I started out as a comedian in Boston back in starting in about 89. So back then the place was just packed with great comics. You know, it was like we played softball games on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it was like David Cross, Mark Maron, Bill Burr, Joe Rogan, Laura Keitlinger, Patrice O'Neill, Bobby Kelly. It was just crazy. Anthony Clark. And so there were so many comics that the agents would rip you off, basically. And there was a guy at the time named Billy Downs. And he always owed everybody money. You'd work for him, but then he wouldn't pay you. And then he'd try to pay you like pennies on the dollar later. So instead of Bill Downs, they called him No Money Downs. And so it was always like, and he would just fuck with you. He'd call you up and he'd be like, hey, big guy, I got a gig for you. It's up in Maine. It's 5 hours. You got to pick up the headliner. You got to share a hotel room with the other opener. And you get half off dinner, $150. You want it? And then you'd be like, oh God. And you'd be like, all right, I'll do it. And he'd go, it's canceled.
What? He was in the same conversation.
Just to see how much he could talk you down, just for sport.
Oh.
So he really does get me this gig one time. And at this point, the guy owes me like $1,000, which is a lot of work for me at that point. I literally just started out and I'm trying to live off my stand-up comedy money. So he sends me up to this gig in Maine. It's 5 hours. I pick up the headliner, the other opening act, and we get up there and Billy shows up. He's the guy's got so much fucking money because he's taking the entire budget on most of these shows. And he's got a Mercedes. He's got Chinese kids that he adopted, all the trappings of wealth in Boston. And so you would go, it was so bad that people would show up to his bank on Monday mornings because his checks would all bounce. So like you would try to get to his bank at 9:01 in the morning and there'd already be a line of comedians waiting to cash the check, hoping that it wouldn't bounce. Just guys with greasy hair, hungover, and you'd get to the cashier and she'd look at you and you'd have on like a Stitches Comedy Club hat and she'd be like, Bill Downs check? And you'd be like, yeah. And she's like, good luck. I'll give it a shot. And so anyway, I go up to this gig and it's at a place called the Laughing Lobster up in like Bangor, Maine. And we go in and there's a giant lobster on top of a restaurant. And there's a condo and the headliner, I'm not the headliner, this guy Kevin Knox is. And so he's got this 2-bedroom condo and me and the opener are in this like little windowless studio. And so we would go to the restaurant and they'd give us a meal. We got half off. The openers got half off. And we had to order from the left side of the menu. And then Kevin could order whatever he wanted. And he would just bust our balls. He'd be like, hey, you guys want to get the lobster? Oh, sorry, you can't. Did you guys see that thing on HBO? Oh, you don't have cable. And so we go down and there was a pool. And it was because it was so far north, it was a lot of like French Canadians, and they would come down and like women in thongs, and they were beautiful. And we're like, all right, we're going down to the pool, guys. Let's get. And I go, oh shit, I didn't pack a bathing suit. And so Kevin goes, well, just you got some boxer shorts? He goes, just put on your boxer shorts. So I was like, I don't know. And so I go, you guys just go down. So they go down to the pool, and I can see the pool from my window, and it's filled with hot chicks. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. I'm putting on the boxer shorts. So I put them on, and I remember they had chili peppers on them. And I walk down to the pool in my boxer shorts, and I open up the gate, and they're sitting on the far side of the pool. And I take 2 steps in, and I'm standing on the deck. And then Kevin stands up and he goes, Greg, what are you doing wearing your underwear? And the whole pool starts laughing at me. So I walk back to my room in my chili pepper underwear. And so we go to the show that night, and it's in the back room of the Laughing Lobster. There's no stage. It's just you standing with a microphone in a room full of people that are eating lobsters, which is an involved meal. Usually you play to people that have like chicken fingers, finger food, where they can actually pay attention. Lobster is that's your priority when you get it, not listening to the comedian. And there's no light on this. There's no spotlight. There's a Bruins game. There's a Red Sox game playing above our heads on the TV set. And they don't turn it off. Because, Boston, there's such sports, it's like Pittsburgh. And so I go, before I go on stage, Billy's sitting there. And I go, shit, Billy, I forgot my watch. I don't want to go long. Let me borrow your watch. So he gives me this gold watch. And I go up on stage, and I do my set. And then I get off stage, and I duck out the side door. And I just kind of disappear, and I wait for the show to end. The other guys come out. We jump in the car, drive back to Boston. I get a call the next day from Billy Downs. He goes, hey, big guy, you accidentally left my watch last night. And I go, no, Billy, you accidentally didn't pay me the $1,000 that you owe me. And so he goes, oh, shit. I go, well, I appraised the watch for $2,000, so we can just call it a wash, and I'll work the rest off. And so we made a deal that he was going to meet me at a Dunkin' Donuts in Kenmore Square. And I said, I want cash. I don't want a fucking check. I want cash. And so he shows up, and he's got like a brown bag stuffed with cash. And he hands it to me. It's all like fives. He was like busting my balls. It's all like fives and ones. And so I get the money, and he goes, that's pretty good, big guy. You got me. I was like, yeah, thanks, Billy. Like, there was a respect for the scam. He respected the scam. And then as he's walking out, he looks at me and he goes, what are you doing next weekend, big guy? And I go, nothing. I'm open. He goes, you want to do Uncle Nasty's down in Providence? He pays $75. And I was like, fuck yeah, man. I've never done Uncle Nasty's. I've always wanted to. I'm there.
It's a good story, right? That's Greg Fitzsimmons. He is full of amazing stories. What a talented guy. He's really seen it all. You guys should listen to Fitzdog Radio as well. And then his other show, Sunday Papers, with his buddy Mike Gibson. I think this is sort of funny. And every Sunday, he and Mike go through the paper together. Yes, you've heard of the newspaper. It's like paper with print on it. Anyway, good stuff. Thank you to Greg Fitzsimmons. And don't forget, you guys, to check out mylifein3songs.com so you can hear Greg over there as well. And follow Storyworthy over at storyworthypodcast.com. There you can join my mailing list. Why not? I like you. You like me. Sign up for my mailing list and you'll enjoy a short note, maybe once a month. So it's nothing, is it? No, it isn't. Do me a favor, join my mailing list. All right, you guys, thanks again for tuning in to Storyworthy. Really, if it wasn't for you guys, I would not be podcasting. So thank you very much. And one more time on behalf of the very talented Greg Fitzsimmons, my name is Christine Blackburn saying, make it a Storyworthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.